Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing? Everybody feeling good this morning? Good, great, fantastic. If we don't mind, one thing that helps me take the edge off a little bit is prayer. So can I just pray really quickly before we get started? Lord, we just thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. Thank you for this opportunity to share what you've given me to share with this audience today. I just ask that you speak through me. Let something that is said today catapult us to the next dimension that you have for us. God, and as we stand here and sit here in this hospital, God, I just can't help but pray for healing for every person that is dealing with various issues or various situations in this place. God, you get the glory out of everything that transpires here. So God, I just pray that testimonies come from all across this building of just your healing power because of this moment, because of this day, because of the servants that you have cast about this entire building. God, we honor you, we love you, we thank you and appreciate you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. I feel a lot better now. Yay. All right, so I have the privilege of talking today to you all about the ideal team player. And one thing about me is I'm an avid sports fan. We'll talk about all of those things here in a minute. But I found myself at my previous employer always saying teamwork makes the dream work to my team. So when I was thinking, like, what am I going to talk about today? What am I going to talk about? I'm like, well, might as well use that one. That's a good one to start with. And so that's what we're going to do today. How to building high-performing and effective teams. And as we talk about these things, one thing that I want you to know is this isn't just about your teams that you're building. This is about building high-performing and highly effective people, even within ourselves. So maybe we can apply these four things that I'm going to talk about. We can go to this part. So I'll get to it. But one of those lines that you see is an associate pastor. So I tend to operate in bullet points and a close. So you have your opening, 3 points, and a close. So I grew up in a Baptist church. That's the way we did it. But today I threw in an extra point. So please forgive me for going outside of the norm. I will also say it is so good to see so many familiar faces. Rob and the team. Rob works with me at Brotherhood, and then to see Wayne was in the building as well, he's back in the back. It's pretty cool. This will help me a lot. And then seeing Denise and Keith and a few others, you guys are great. This feels so much better now. John Dortch walked in the room, ladies and gentlemen. All right, cool. Now we can make it happen. But my name is Darius Darling. I am born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. So that means I am an avid Detroit fan. Detroit Lions, Tigers, Pistons, Red Wings. I'm a Michigan and Michigan State fan. I know that's not common, but it is what it is, okay? Just take me for what I am. And so being raised in Detroit, I came down to Fort Wayne for college. I went to Indiana Tech, graduated in 2014 with my business administration degree with a concentration in sports management. So couldn't get rid of the sports. It was just like, it has to stay with me. I left for 8 months, did 8 months hard time back home in Detroit. And when I say hard time, I mean I went back and I worked for the Detroit Tigers in their marketing and promotions department for 8 months. And then when I got a phone call from Indiana Tech and they said, hey, how do you feel about coming back? So I was like, I think we can do that. So I came back and worked at the university for almost 4 years. During that time, I got my M.B.A. And graduated in 2017. And then I made the transition in 2019 to Brotherhood Mutual. Then I was working in our human resources department as a generalist, and now they thought I was cool enough to give me a specialist title. I was like, that's kind of cool. What am I specializing in? But no, I specialize in recruiting, so I do a lot of talent acquisition work at Brotherhood. Like Denise, we work together sometimes, and a few other individuals in this city that we work with as well. While doing all of this, I was recently elevated to the associate pastor role at Zion Tabernacle, where Bishop Crystal Thomas is our senior pastor. So I have the opportunity of working alongside of her to make sure that the ministry keeps going forward. So if I get a little churchy up here, or if I get a little Baptist hoop going, just pray for me a little bit. I also run my own company. I'm the founder and CEO of Stay Royal Productions, which you heard I am a gospel recording artist. I've won a couple of awards in the past couple years, and I'm up for 11 nominations this year for my music. So, thank you. It's pretty cool, I guess, to be able to put music out there and people actually say like, no, this really blessed me. And I'm like, that was the goal of it all along. So, so we'll see what happens. I get to get 2 trips to Mobile, Alabama this summer. I'm like, that'll work. It's nice, state shores and all that stuff and beaches and stuff. Excited about that. So as I mentioned, I'm a lover of sports. So you're going to get some sports in here. You're going to get one of the greatest sports stories ever told. All right. I'm just letting you know. All right. So, but I have to tell you, above all else, I am a husband. My wife is absolutely amazing. Her name's Chloe. We just got married in September of 2022. So just over a year of marriage for us. And she's absolutely amazing. Beautiful. I could just look at these pictures all day. I could do the presentation, leave the pictures up there, and you all will just have to stare at me and my wonderful wife the entire time. But I won't do that to you because she makes the pictures look better. Me, I'm just kind of, I'm average. So let's keep moving. So how many of you all have sat through one of those multi-generational presentations that tells you about Gen Z and Gen Alpha and millennials, because millennials are still being born today, because obviously that's all that's happening, right? This ain't that. That's not today's conversation. I promise you that is not where we're going with any of this. It is my goal today that we work together to identify some things in us that will allow us to be better, but also identify some things within our teams that will allow us to be better. So what are we doing today? I told you guys I'm a sports guy. So here you go. As a recruiter, I see myself as a general manager for a team. I see myself as a general manager. I see myself as the one that looks across the landscape and says, ooh, players, teams, how do we become the best team? So I look at myself as a general manager. I see our managers as coaches to those teams. So if I'm the general manager, my job is to connect with our coaches to identify how do we get the right players? How do we get the right players? And not just how do we get the right players, who do we have doing needs assessments, right? So who do we have? What do we need? What can be developed? And then what do we need to acquire? So who do we need to go out there and get? Are there some people on our teams that are really great? Where are the gaps on our teams? What can we do with the people who are currently on our teams to grow and develop them into their next? And then if we just don't have a skill set, where do we need to go get that skill set from? We need to go find that person and add them to our teams. So I keep going back to this teamwork makes the dream work thing. We're going to talk about this today, the ideal team player. And interestingly enough, Patrick Lencioni wrote this book a while ago. How many of you have read this book or like come across it? Great. So you already know, humble, hungry, and smart. That's what we want. Those are the guys we want. We want somebody to fit right in the middle. That's what we want, right? So we're gonna talk about those. For those who have not read this book, I'm gonna kind of summarize those. But then in my own way, I have to add my own little flair. So there's an extra thing that I want to add to this, if that's okay, all right? So teamwork makes the dream work, building high-performing and effective teams, or better yet known as a comprehensive study on the configuration of the best team ever assembled. All right? Why do I say that? And you see these guys, I'll go back a slide. See these guys right there? They're amazing, right? That's Kobe and Shaq. Come on, Kobe and Shaq, right? We're gonna talk about the best team ever assembled. And this title here is for all of those who need PhD level title, a comprehensive study on, those type of things. Not me. But here we go. The best team ever assembled, the 2004 Detroit Pistons. That's what we're going to talk about. The entire team. I'm telling you, hey, I told you I was a sports fan. You're going to get it. You're going to get it today. And so I want to talk about this team because this team accomplished something that most people thought would be impossible. They took a bunch of no-name players at the time, people that were kind of castaways from other teams, to go on and beat the star-studded Lakers. And when I say star-studded Lakers, I'm talking about the star-studded Lakers. Like, this was the most names the Lakers had on one team since, like, Showtime Lakers. Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Gary Payton, Karl Malone. You had some names, all Hall of Fame players. And so this no-name team with no top 75 players in the NBA on the team at all shows up to the NBA championship in May, June of 2004. Just a young buck hanging out in the city, going to class. And I get a phone call that the Pistons, we getting ready to go downtown. I said, what? We're going downtown. We watched the game that night. My mom said, listen, if we win, we're going downtown. Go downtown, get in the car, got our brooms out, because it's a 5-game sweep, baby. 5-game sweep. I know it's not possible, but it's Detroit. Anything's possible in Detroit, okay? If we make it to the championship, it's possible. And so we get excited, we go downtown, we celebrate, and all those things. And then just looking back, as I think about the saying that I always say, teamwork makes the dream work, what team best resembles or brings about teamwork than the 2004 Detroit Pistons? So let's get into it a little bit, right? So humble, you saw that in the trifecta, right? So humble, you have having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance, of a low social or administrative or political rank. Not saying that you don't have rank, but it's saying that you don't throw your weight around, right? You're someone who is willing to, as good as you are, submit to what the ideal vision of the team may be. And so you see these two guys right here. You may know them, you may not know them. The one on the far, my right, your left, is Tayshaun Prince. Tayshaun Prince was drafted by the Detroit Pistons in 2002. Tayshaun, drafted in 2002, came to the Pistons, and in 2003, 2004, that season, the top pick in the draft was LeBron James. The Detroit Pistons had the second pick in the draft. You want to know who they picked? Darko Milicic. Who is that? Exactly. Who is that? The next pick to go in the draft, Carmelo Anthony to the Denver Nuggets. After that, Dwayne Wade. Hall of Fame ball players. And the Pistons in the middle of that picked Darko Milicic. Who in the world is that? They picked Darko Milicic because they had this guy named Tayshaun Prince. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to truly invest in Tayshaun Prince. Tayshaun had played basketball at Kentucky. He was a second-round draft pick for the Pistons the year prior. And he had started coming along, and they did not want to throw away Tayshaun because Tayshaun was coming along pretty well. And so Tayshaun was the quietest, the lowest on the totem pole of the starting five, or what we call in Detroit the best five alive. Tayshaun didn't make the All-Star game that year. All the other starters did. Tayshaun was the one, and I think you all may know him in Indiana as the one who blocked Reggie Miller's layup. I call it a block. Some of you may call it goaltending. Doesn't matter. We got to the championship, and it's okay. But Tayshaun was one of the most humble people on that team. Why? Because he was willing to say, you know what? I recognize that I'm just here to play a role. I'm just here to fill my slot. I'm gonna play defense. He had these arms that was about 8 feet long, and he's just this tall, lanky guy. He said, I'm here to play my role. I'm gonna shoot the three ball. I'm gonna go play some defense, and I'm just gonna hustle. Some of you may also know this guy right here. His name's Antonio McDyess. He was a phenomenal basketball player. He was on the tail end of his career when he came to Detroit. But he had started everywhere that he had been. He was playing ball in Denver for a while. He was the top tier guy. He could dunk on anybody, could shoot over anybody. That's just kind of was his game. Came to Detroit and became a bench player. Became the sixth man of the year. Played coming off the bench. Why? He humbled himself and said, I don't have to be the star. I just want to come and be a part of a team that's going somewhere. So as we're looking to build within ourselves and even build within our team, sometimes we don't need all the star players, right? We need individuals, and sometimes we need to be those individuals who are willing to say, you know what? I don't have to lead the project. I don't have to be the one with my name on the project. I don't have to be the one who always says, ooh, pick me, pick me, pick me. I need to be out front. I need to give the presentation. But sometimes we just need to humble ourselves and allow ourselves to be a part of the team. Where can I fit in? How can I help? How can I bring my skill set to the table so that as we grow and as we continue to do what we do, we can move this thing together. We can move this thing forward together. Cool? So humble. Hungry. Yes. Exactly, right? Don't even know. Darko Milicic is now, from my understanding, he operates a farm back in Serbia. That year they won the championship. Now, I will tell you, he was the first one out of that group of individuals, the star-studded cast of the 2004 NBA, 2003-2004 NBA draft, to get a ring. Why? He was good in Serbia. He was great in Serbia. But he was willing to, he played his role, which was to sit at the end of the bench. He sat at the end of the bench. He didn't play much that year at all. He ate hot dogs. There was like videos of him eating hot dogs on the bench during games. It's bad. And he did not have much of a career. They would call him the victory cigar. He would get in the game at about 45 seconds, a minute and 30 seconds. Coach Keith knows what's up. Like, it's that player, it's the 20 up, 20 down team, coach. Like, you put this player in when you're either up 20 or you're down 20, and there's no way of coming back. And that's who he became on the team. Unfortunate for his career. He went to a couple of other teams after that, but he did not really take off in the league at all. Bad pick by Joe Dumars, I will say that. So hungry. This guy right here, he was the bane of the league's existence. Rasheed Wallace, Mr. Technical Foul. He was a walk-in technical foul. One of the most talkative players in the NBA at the time. And he would get tech after tech. Ball don't lie. That was his thing. You call a foul on him, go to the free throw line. You miss a free throw, ball don't lie, because he didn't think he fouled you, no way. That was his thing. At a certain point in his career, he had got to a place where he just wanted to win. He wanted to win. He played for the Portland Trail Blazers for a while there, and then he was traded to Detroit in a mid-season trade the year prior, and he just wanted to win. He just wanted to win. Story goes that when Rasheed got to the locker room, he said the conversation went like this: "Hey y'all, I'm Rasheed. I'm here to win. Whatever it takes to win, let's do it." And he went and got dressed, ready for the game. That's how the story goes. I wasn't there, so I can't tell you. But they tell me, they tell me that that's how it went. And so Rasheed shows up and does that. And then you got this guy down here, Ben Wallace, who is the only player in the Hall of Fame to never be drafted by the NBA. He was never drafted in the NBA. No team picked him up. He was a free agent signee after the draft. And Ben gets picked up. And by the Wizards at one point, or Orlando, I think it was Orlando. And then they trade him to Detroit for Grant Hill. Grant Hill, ball playing Grant Hill, He had some injuries. You send him down to Orlando and you get Ben Wallace back. Who? Prior to that, nobody knew who Ben Wallace was. But Ben Wallace was the one who stepped in and on his own in the NBA championship guarded Shaquille O'Neal. The biggest and baddest, strongest man in the NBA, Shaquille O'Neal. The Diesel, Shaquille O'Neal. By himself, him and his afro guarded Shaquille O'Neal. And when I tell you, this guy right here, Lindsey Hunter, had been a career vet in the NBA, one of the most locked down guard defenders to ever play in the NBA, in my perspective. You had Gary Payton. You had Joe Dumars in his early years. And to me, my opinion, Lindsey Hunter comes right after. Lindsey Hunter did not care who you were. He was going to lock up. He was going to play some of the best defense you've seen all day. Moves his feet, moves his hands, stays in front. That's what he wanted to do. He was originally with the Pistons in the 90s, got traded away, went away, and I think he won a championship with the Lakers at one point. And then the Pistons went and got him back because they knew what they were trying to do. They wanted to win the championship. These guys were hungry for it. Having a strong desire or craving for what's getting ready to take place. So the question is, are you, as you're building your team and as you look introspectively, are you somebody that's hungry? Are you still hungry for what you're going after? Do you still have that strong desire to go after this next goal, this next challenge, this next task, this next project? What are we doing to make ourselves ready to go? Are we starving ourselves now so that we're hungry on the next thing? What do I mean by starving ourselves? Are we putting ourselves in position to where we're being strategic and we see the long view? Are we putting ourselves in position to where we can see the long view and say, you know what? Now I'm ready. Am I dreaming? Am I putting my team in a position to where they can see the long view and then now they become hungry? They see how their promotions are tied to our success. They see how they will be well if our team does well. They see how their career can take off if we tweak a couple of things, get a couple of things right, boom, now we're after it. So the question is, are we in ourselves allowing ourselves to be hungry again? Have we as professionals, as leaders, have we become so complacent with our success that we're cool where we are? So I want to offer that challenge to you. What is that next vision? What is that next thing that is going to keep you hungry? Because yeah, we can make a couple dollars now. We got a couple good dollars on our hands, right? But what's that thing that is going to make you hungry? What's that thing that causes you to say, you know what? My work's not done. My work's not done. I have a mission statement that I live by, and it's change lives and make memories one day at a time. And so for me, it's how can I, or who can I impact, who can I come together with to make sure that I'm doing that every day? So I never put myself in a situation, and I know they say you should never say never, but I never put myself in a situation to where I can't do that every day. I don't put myself in a situation to where I can't do that every day. If I can't change somebody's life or make a memory that day, I'm not doing it. It's that litmus that says go or no go. Right? What are the things in your life that says, you know what, this is a go for me and this is a no-go. I'm not compromising my standards on this. My standard is making a memory change in the life. How am I going to do that today? And for me, is it sitting down in an interview with someone and just helping them to feel more comfortable about their interview? Even if the interview is going south, I still want to make sure that this person is having a value-added experience to their day. That they feel better even about themselves, even if the interview goes bad. I want them to feel better about themselves when they leave that room, knowing that I just put myself in an uncomfortable space and I came out and nobody made me feel horrible about who I am. That's great. So when they walk out of those doors at Brotherhood, they can walk with their head held high and feel, even if they didn't get the job, they can feel like I can go to that next interview with a little bit more confidence. Maybe I got to tweak some things. Maybe I got to adjust some things, but I can be a little bit more confident in my approach now and in my search now. So, hungry. Any questions here? I'm glad. All right, cool. Smart. You want people on your team who are smart. We want to be people on our team who are smart. And not just like wisdom smart, but you want people who have common sense. You want people who have the ability to think outside of the box, think within the box, and see what the difference is between the boxes. Right? You want to think about how can we find individuals to join our team? How can I be an individual who is on our team, who can see the strategic goals and figure out how I play into that? What can I bring to the table? How am I going to add to this environment? How am I going to add to what I'm doing? Where am I in that ad? Where am I in that ad? So yes, intelligence and acumen. This gentleman right here, Larry Brown, the Larry Brown. I will call him the Larry Brown, just like Ohio State calls themselves the Ohio State. Don't understand why, but he's the Larry Brown to me. He's the coach that brought us the championship. Larry Brown was the coach of the Philadelphia 76ers, and he coached Allen Iverson. Everyone may know Allen Iverson. They got to a couple of championships, but never won. He had a rough go at it when he was in Philly. So much so that Philly let him go. His contract was up. It was like, all right, he's done. Joe Dumars, after we had Rick Carlisle as a coach, after we had some really cool coaches, Rick Carlisle, who's currently in Indy for the second time. Larry Brown came in. They sat down and had a conversation. And story goes that Larry Brown, Joe Dumars have a conversation. Joe Dumars says, we got all the pieces, we just need the right coach. Larry Brown looks at the spreadsheet of all the players and says, I'll take the job. From what I heard, there was no real interview. There was a conversation of, hey, we just need the right coach. Larry looks at the spreadsheet, not look at the roster and, all the, pictures of, he looks at the spreadsheet with their numbers, averages, and says, I'll take the job. Comes in 2 years, turns his team around, wins the championship, goes to three Eastern Conference finals back-to-back, goes to 2 finals back-to-back, which they got cheated out of the second one because they should have been back-to-back champions because the Spurs, they just, whatever. But that's a whole nother conversation. I pulled myself back together. I digress. Larry, and from what it's told, Larry Brown took this job because of this man right here, Chauncey Billups. What he considered to be one of the smartest point guards in the league. Chauncey's now known as Mr. Big Shot. Love it. He's now coaching the Portland Trail Blazers. This is his second year as a coach there. He wanted to coach Chauncey because he knew that Chauncey could be a good floor general. He thought that Chauncey had the ability to be not the same player, but what Magic Johnson was for the Showtime Lakers. So in that, he said, you know what? I'll take this job because you got Chauncey. And I know Chauncey wants to win. And if Chauncey's my floor general, we can make some things happen. So they just went and put a couple pieces there and boom, get a championship. You want people around you who are smart. You want people around you who can see the vision, understand the vision, and then run with the vision. The Bible says, write the vision, make it plain so that they may write it on tablets so they may see it and they may take it and run with it. Right? So if that's the case, you want some individuals that you can say, okay, here's the plan, and they began to see the next steps. As a leader, as a person who is responsible for casting vision, our responsibility is to, hey, this is where we're going. How do we get there? I cast vision. This is where we're going. How do we get there? How do we get there? And then as you allow your team to feed into that, it creates what? Buy-in. And now everybody's on the same page and we're all trying to accomplish this goal together. Humble, hungry, smart. This is by far, this is my addition, and I think this is the best one. Authenticity. Being authentic. True to who you are. I tell my interviewees when I train them from schools and whatnot, do mock interviews and all this stuff, don't go into an interview being anybody else. I know that they have a job description. I know that they have an ideal candidate. I know that they have an idea of what they want to do and what this person is going to do. But if you go in trying to be that, you'll never get the job. Or you'll never keep the job. Because then they'll realize that, okay, we'll hire you, we'll bring you in. And then they realize, you was lying to us the whole time. So if you go into that interview space, if you go into any interaction being you put yourself in the best position. Because I would, and this is my mom taught me this when I was coming up. She said, you are more expensive than you trying to copy somebody else. She said, the original is always worth more than a copy. And so why would you rather be somebody else's cheap copy when you can be an expensive original? I was like, You know, that's when you start thinking, your parents might know something. I was a teenager. I was like, yeah, mama don't know nothing. Then she said, that's like, that might work. Why? Because I would much rather be the best version of me and have the best version of you than trying to get the best version of you being me. Because the world don't need two Dariuses, I'll tell you that now. Ask my wife, she'll tell you it's a mess. Putting two of me out there would be horrible. But if I bring my best self to the table, my true, authentic self to the table, you bring your true, authentic self to the table. We find somebody else to bring their true, authentic self to the table. Now we have three authentics at the table, and you can't tell me that ain't gonna work. One of the things that we talk about oftentimes at Brotherhood when I do interviews is that everyone thinks and everyone has this opinion that Brotherhood is like utopia. And I'm like, it is pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? Got the cafe, get to work with Rob, get to do all these wonderful things, right? But the one thing that I tell everybody is Brotherhood is a great place to work. I love it. But it doesn't come without its differences of opinion. Any work environment has to have its differences of opinion. Why? Because we are trying to be authentic about who we are. We're passionate about the audience that we serve. And if you're passionate about something and you're authentic about something, what does that mean? That means you have a perspective. You have a perspective. And if you bring that perspective to the table, it oftentimes is influenced by your experience. And so their perspective is influenced by their experience. Their perspective is influenced by their experience. Mine is the same. So we bring those to the table, we have differences of opinions. And the thing that makes Brotherhood the greatest place on earth to work, yes, I'll say it. I'm sorry if you don't work there, you might want to look at our job board. No, I'm just joking. If you're here with your boss or if you're here with your team, don't do it. All right, no, I'm just joking. All right. But the thing that makes us great is that we're all able to sit down at the table and say, okay, I see your opinion, I see your opinion, I see your opinion. Let's figure out the way forward from here. Because it's not about not choosing your idea. It's not about not choosing your idea and my idea wins. It's about, okay, seeing these different things, what's the way forward? So you may say, let's use the red wire. They may say, let's use the purple wire. I say, let's use the green wire. And when it all settles out, we use the yellow wire and keep going. A combination of all these things to help us all get to where we're trying to go. Because at the end of the day, you gotta be humble. Yours is not always gonna win. You gotta be hungry, but I wanna see us win. And you have to be smart. How are we gonna win? Then I gotta be authentic. This is the way that I see it, but understanding that this ain't the only way that it can be seen. Humble, hungry, smart, authentic. That's it for me. That's how we build high-performing and highly effective teams. And sometimes that team is within yourself. How do I get better? As a leader, how do I encourage individuals? How do I show up? How do I do what I need to do in order to be the best to get the best possible outcome? So I need to be humble. I gotta stay hungry. I gotta be smart. I gotta think strategically. But I have to be me. I can't be anybody else in this space. Because if I try to be somebody else, it's not gonna work. At Brotherhood Mutual, there's only one Mark Robinson. I tell you, he's our CEO, and there's only one of them. Anybody else in the company that tries to be a Mark Robinson, it may not go well. Because they're operating outside of who they are. They're operating outside of their role. They're operating outside of even their influence. So it's just, we have to be mindful of those things. So I got a few, I meant to talk about these guys. Authentic, Rasheed Wallace, we kind of talked about him a little bit earlier. She's one of my favorite guys. He was always himself. Always himself. Didn't matter what you had to say. He never cut his hair. Didn't really care about his facial scruff. He just came in, I'm here to win. And I bring myself to the table. Coach Brown didn't ask him, hey, I need you to tone it down a little bit. I need you to not be so, loud. Need you not to be so aggressive. Thing about Rasheed, what made Rasheed is that he always was himself. You knew what you was gonna get. And the question that I would pose is when people are encountering you in the work environment, do they know what they're gonna get? Are we consistent enough in our authenticity that we are showing up every day as who we are? This is us. When you encounter Darius, this is what you're gonna get. And that consistency is what pushes us forward. Because jolts do well. Like if you have a spurt of doing something good, like that's cool. That's nice. It's a good experience. But our consistency is what takes us to that next level. Because I can push a rock up a cliff as far as I can for 5 minutes. Then I let it go because I don't want to be that consistent anymore. And now it falls back down, right? And everything behind it begins to fall apart too. But if I stay consistent and push that, even if I'm tired, even if I don't have as much strength, if there's some consistency in my movement, I'm reserving some strength because I'm being consistent. And I'm having a continuous progress. When you have a spurt, you tend to do really well for now, and then that's it. That's all I got. And then everything else tends to fall thereafter. But when you can be consistent, even if consistent is slow, consistent is consistent. I can count on consistency. I can't count on sporadic, right? So as we go through this, we want to be consistently ourselves. One day, I don't want to encounter a different version of Doug. If I know that when I encounter Doug's gonna be Doug, let's rock it. I can go to war with Jerry because I know what I'm gonna get from Jerry. And Jerry, hopefully he knows he's gonna get from me. And we can count on each other and fill in the gap when there's consistency and authenticity combined together. Cool? I just had a few closing thoughts. Is that all right? Just a few. Record versus legacy. I told you guys I'm a sports guy. So if you haven't known that by now, sports guy. Record versus legacy. I was thinking about Coach Nick Saban. And he was talking, about all these things. Well, the interviewer was talking about all these things that he's accomplished. Coach, you've won this, you've done this, you've won championships, you got so many players in the NFL, you've fed so many families. This is amazing, Coach. How's his record? But he says, I'm not more concerned about my record, more concerned about my legacy. A record is, what did you do? A legacy is, how did you do it? And so as we operate in our various positions and various situations, it's good to have a record. Success like, we did this, we did that, we did this program, we accomplished this, we met this goal, we did this. That's cool, that's wonderful. The legacy part is, how do we do it? Is it sustainable? Did we bring the right people to the table? Did we help people to feel encouraged as we did it? How did I make people feel in the process? So not just what you do, but how you do it. Everyone needs a team, but every team is not for everyone. Sometimes you have to be willing to cut people off your team. One of the things that at my church right now, our theme for the year is 2024, the year of the opened door. And one of the things that we've been talking about is that God has already placed before us an opened door. So it's our responsibility to walk in that door. But before you walk in that door, you must be prepared. You have to make sure that you have done the work that you need to do so that when you walk through that open door, you can now experience what God has placed before you. But there will be adversaries, or there are things that you will have to encounter on the other side of the door. So what you have to do is make sure that you have positioned yourself to learn the skills that you need on this side of the door so that when you walk through, you are not thrown off by the things that are happening on the other side of the door. You're able to see it, address it, move forward. See it, address it, move forward. And in our sanctuary, we have a door framed out, and it sits up on our podium, our platform there. And a couple weeks ago, I had the privilege of bringing the word that Sunday, and a friend of mine, his name's David. David's a bigger guy. David and I are bigger guys, okay? David played football at Trine. He played on the offensive line. Big fella. Me, did play football at Trine. Still, big fella, okay? So David and I, we stand side by side. And I told David, I said, David, let's do this. Now, our job is to get through this door. You play football, so you know how to move some objects to get to where you need to go. What we did, we took it, moved, walked towards the door. And what we realized is both of us couldn't fit through the door at the same time. Some people can't go through the door with you. Where you're going, where God is taking you, where your goals are positioning you to go, the trajectory that you have on your career, some people can't go with you, and that's okay. And that's okay. Don't feel like you have to drag people along with you to go to where your next is. Maybe the direction that your career is going, it may be you that needs to change the team. Maybe the team has gone as far as it can with you. And that's okay. That's okay. But maybe there are some people on your team that you realize that this may not be the best fit, and let's work to try to find you the best fit. Because you still want to leave that character intact, right? So how can I position you for your best? Again, we talked about what can be developed. What do we have? What do we need? What can be developed? What needs to be acquired? And sometimes they can be developed, and sometimes they may need to be acquired. That's okay. Don't quit. Don't quit. I know that may sound contradictory to what I just told you. I recognize that. I'm not telling you not to quit where you are. If you realize that the team is not for you, that's okay. But what I'm asking you to do is don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on the dreams. Don't give up on the visions. Don't give up on the things that God has shown you. Don't give up on the dreams and the goals that you have set for yourself. Don't give up on that. Anybody that went to GLS this past year, they heard Albert Tate speak to help kind of close out that second day. He talked about Dory from Finding Nemo. And Dory was this kind of aloof sometimes, but she had a bad memory. And when Dory was working to help find Nemo with Nemo's dad, the one thing she kept saying is Nemo's dad, he would be sporadic and want to go X, Y, Z and try to figure out, we need to do this, we need to do that. We just need to stop. Let's just give up. And Dory would say, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. That was her thing. And she had a memory like that. But the one thing she could remember, just keep swimming. Well, two things she could remember. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. And 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney. But just keep swimming. Don't stop. It could get hard. This stuff is not easy. Finding the right team, finding the right people, all of this stuff is not easy. Finding the right job, finding the right work environment, finding the right situation. It's not easy, but don't quit. Because you will see the other side of through so much better. It's hard when we're going through it. It's hard when we're going through it. But when you're going through it, and you get through it, the other side of through it is amazing. And you will see the goodness of what God has for you on the other side of through it.